Good day, this is NSA 302 Environmental Health. I'll be taking you through study section 5, Environmental Sanitation, Housing and Water Supply. When you have studied this section, you should be able to describe environmental sanitation, its challenges and the laws of sanitation. You should be able to outline the consequences of poor sanitation and the approaches to improve sanitation, and you should be able to explain the concept of water sanitation. Environmental sanitation is a set of actions geared towards improving the quality of the environment and reducing the amount of disease. By doing so, the hope is that living conditions will improve and health problems will decrease. Environmental sanitation is very vital for any nation, and in order to live a world free from diseases, we must task ourselves in a more collaborative and more sustained ways to frequently embark on general cleaning exercises in our houses, homes, and our communities. In Nigeria, we must admit that the monthly cleaning exercise has paid dividends. Health experts have indicated that the initiative has drastically reduced the burden of malaria diseases and other health-related. Moreover, environmental sanitation are activities aimed at improving or maintaining the standard of basic environmental conditions affecting the well-being of people. These conditions may include clean and safe water supply, clean and safe ambient air, efficient and safe animal, human and industrial water disposal, protection of food from biological and chemical contaminants, and adequate housing in clean and safe surroundings, which environmental experts refer to as environmental hygiene. Poor sanitation and its consequences. About 2.4 billion people globally live under highly unsanitary conditions and have such poor hygiene behaviors that their exposure to risk of incidence and spread of infectious disease are enormous. Water stored at home is frequently contaminated by inadequate water management in the home. These issues are receiving increasing attention, but considering the huge backlog within the sector, there is still a need for greater mobilization of resources and involvement of decision makers at all levels. The World Health Organization, WHO, has been at the forefront of the environmental sanitation and hygiene action over the past years and developed some key materials intended for policymakers and technical people dealing with these issues. The materials include guidelines, best practices, practice documents, and promotion materials. Let's move on as we talk about water sanitation. Water sanitation is defined as a process of cleaning and purifying water so it is safe for use. Drinking water is defined as water used for domestic purposes, drinking, cooking, and personal hygiene. Access to drinking water means that the source is less than 1 kilometer away from its place of use and that it is possible to reliably contain at least 20 liters per member of household per day. Target 10 under the Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) is to have by 2015 the proportion of people without sustainable access to safe drinking water and basic sanitation. Hand washing initiatives were reported by experts to reduce the probability of contracting diarrhea disease, an important cause of child morbidity and mortality, by 44%. Sanitation improvement resulted in 32% decrease, while improved water supply resulted in 25% reduction. Let's talk about risk factors in water, sanitation, and hygiene. The diseases burden from unsafe water, sanitation, and hygiene is estimated at the global level, taking into account various disease outcomes, principally diarrhea disease. The risk factor is defined as including multiple factors, namely the ingestion of unsafe water, lack of water linked to inadequate hygiene, poor personal and domestic hygiene and agricultural practices, contact with seawater, and inadequate development and management of water resources or water systems. For estimating disease burden of infectious diarrhea, exposure scenarios are established according to water supply and sanitation infrastructure, the level of facial oral pathogens in the environment and population assigned to these scenarios, the total burdens from schistosomiasis, trachoma, ascariasis, trichoriasis, and hookworm disease are all wholly attributed to unsafe water sanitation and hygiene, and have been quantified at global level as an additional exercise. Unsafe water sanitation and hygiene is an important determinant in the number of additional diseases such as malaria, yellow fever, filariasis, dengue, hepatitis A, hepatitis E, typhoid fever, arsenicosis, fluorosis, and legionellosis, and some of which present a high disease burden at a global level. Let's talk about the transmission pathway of facial oral disease. Transmission through the ingestion of water as it occurs during drinking and to some extended bathing. This category includes diseases from facial oral pathogens, dracunculiasis, and arsenicosis, and fluorosis from other toxic chemicals and due to excess proliferation of toxic algae. Transmission caused by poor personal, domestic or agricultural practices, including when personal hygiene is affected by lack of water. These include person-to-person transmission of facial oral pathogens, foodborne transmission of facial oral pathogens as a result of poor hygiene and use of contaminated water for irrigation or cleaning. Lack of water is in particular linked to diseases such as trachoma and scabies. Transmission through contaminated aerosols from poorly managed water systems, and so on and so forth. I hope you have been able to get that and learn one or two things in this study section, and I hope that you will continue to learn more in the subsequent study sections. Thanks for listening.